It caused chaos for hundreds of thousands of travellers. Ash from the Chilean volcano stopped flights into and out of Australia and New Zealand, as well as domestic flights. It also caused confusion. Why were some airlines flying and others not? Now, a tiny plane testing for ash in the air could help provide the answer to take off or not to take off.
The plume from the Chilean volcano circumnavigated the globe twice, bringing airports across southern Australia to a standstill.
We were supposed to go on Tuesday morning.
We can't come home till Friday.
We're just not comfortable to fly at those levels.
The uncertainty of it was horrible.
It also affected the man trying to stop future disruptions.
When it started, I was in Europe, and Qantas, when we agreed that we do something together, they flew me across, and I thought I can get to Adelaide to get working, but I didn't make it because Adelaide was closed.
Jorg Hacker is the Director and Chief Scientist of Airborne Research Australia, which is part of the School of the Environment at Flinders University in Adelaide.
We have teamed together with Qantas to find some more scientific things in this whole ash problem. It's not that we can solve it all. It is more that we can perhaps give the airline industry a bit more information, another few pointers where to look at and what it all means for their decision-making process.
A specialist aircraft to actually test the amount of ash that's in the cloud.
Qantas CEO Alan Joyce last week told the National Press Club the volcano has cost the company an estimated $21 million and affected over 200,000 of its customers. He defended the company's conservative approach.
It would be disastrous for the Qantas brand if anything ever went wrong.
With collaborators in Europe and North America, Airborne Research Australia helped keep some planes flying during the European ash crisis last year.
In fact, we were, with the same aircraft, with the same instrumentation, the first ones in Europe to fly through that ash cloud and be able to quantify the amount of ash. And at one occasion, we were even able to, because we flew over Switzerland, to contribute to the decision not to close the Swiss airspace while many other airspaces were closed.
Are you a little bit like the canaries then, down the coal mine?
You can call it that, except that it doesn't affect our health or anything like this. I mean, the poor canary probably dies. We have no intention of doing that. So, but in terms of warning systems, yes, a little bit.
As well as being an expert in atmospheric research, Jorg Hacker is a pilot. With room for just himself and another scientist, his research plane is essentially a motorised glider. It is tiny and not pressurised, so the men have oxygen on tap, although they have special permission to fly in the same altitude range as passenger planes up to 25,000 feet.
They are very economical to operate. In a way, you can say they are a manned version of an unmanned aircraft. It's very modern technology, fully composite. Very good aerodynamics. They are derivatives of gliders, so they are very efficient. And they're also very safe because they have a good gliding performance.
However, it's the pods attached to the wings that are key.
This is the most essential instrument. It measures particles, the sizes of particles that come in through here. What happens is the air comes in here, and there's a tiny little hole, as you can see. This is called an isokinetic inlet. What that means is the instruments want the air moving very slow to measure something. The air rushes with 180 kilometers an hour, so we have to, in a controlled way, slow down the air. Otherwise you would measure nothing useful. This is all connected to computers in the cockpit, and we get the data, and we can see in more or less real time what the instruments see.
Instruments were brought in from all over the world in a hurried effort to construct the pod to test the air above Tasmania earlier this week.
Tasmania, in a way, was the final stop of the ash cloud, as probably everybody knows. We still decided to come here because we can then confirm that the forecast that comes from the volcanic ash centres that the Bureau of Meteorology operates, that there is indeed nothing left. And what we found on our flights was that there is very, very, very little left.
Wolfgang Junkermann happened to be in Australia when the crisis hit. The meteorology and climate scientist with an institute in Germany was roped in for the flights.
My role here is just to compile the instruments and to have a look on the instruments and see whether we can find something which is related to volcanic ash. It's looking like all the ash went back into the area close to Antarctica.
Associate Professor Hacker says his organisation is the only one in Australia doing this sort of airborne research. It's hoped that in the event of future volcanic eruptions, airlines and safety authorities can be better informed on their decisions whether to fly.
What we are hoping to get from that, and I think Qantas is to have in the longer run a facility in Australia where we can, with a reasonable amount of money, determine how severe a dust cloud is.
After the European ash cloud, he says the British government spent a considerable amount of money on a dedicated aircraft that sits on standby 365 days a year.
We are at the moment thinking it's probably maybe a better approach to, for instance, set up one of these pods that we fly on our aircraft with proper instrumentation, but that does not break the bank, and have that sitting somewhere when it can be deployed either on one of these aircraft or a different aircraft.
A lot of promise from a detachable pod.
That there will be an opportunity in Australia to sit down with the people, Qantas, the regulators, CASA, to discuss what can be done at a reasonable amount of money and at a reasonable effort. And I think we might even have a chance to do this in Australia.
Ellie Ward reporting from Hobart.